So essentially, the goal here is to get the data out of Outlook as an organizational mechanism, create the data marts necessary from our existing corporate business data as opposed to simply making up things in Excel, distribute our reports. And again, I like to use the term report because it emphasizes that the data isn't residing in the document that you send out, but rather that it's something where the users, it's an end user interface that they can use to consume and publish data back and forth. And then finally, normalizing reporting and analysis. One other aspect that you should have, that I hope was apparent, but I didn't call out, is the idea that by enabling users to hook the data and pull it out, as opposed to simply creating spreadsheets on their own, that you get a formalized approach to the data entry and data reading. So basically, when you go in and work with the information, that everybody's working with the same thing. It goes back to what we call the one version of the truth. So essentially, you can go in, work with the data, but you're not creating your own numbers. You're not creating your own approach. When you say, when there's a CFO document that indicates what's contained in a particular line item, that's a uniform approach throughout the organization. It's not a matter of this group considers trucks part of transportation, while that group considers trucks part of capital expenses. It's a uniform approach if you have the account drill downs, and everybody has to be kind of on the same page. And if they're not, it becomes readily apparent, because if this group's, for example, transportation expenses are a lot higher because they're counting their truck maintenance there, whereas this group's transportation expenses are lower, it calls out very quickly that there's a differentiation across the organization. You can drill down and try and understand why. So that's pretty much, I know it's very quick and dirty, and I would be happy to follow up with anyone who's interested. But the approach basically of using Excel as a front end against a data mart back end that's being driven off actual corporate data or organizational data, instead of simply emailing out spreadsheets or doing, as I mentioned before, budget by executive fiat. I think it's a lot more compelling and becomes a lot more straightforward as far as managing organizational finances and organizational budget.
Hey, Follow, I think there's a question that came through the Q&A.
Yes.
I'll go. Do you want me to read it? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm seeing here how do you get the report analysis? Is that something that comes within Excel 2010, or is that a SQL Server function? And if so, what version of SQL Server do you get that reporting analysis?
So the what comes from where part, basically the rolling the data together and managing the data marts and data cubes, that's part of SQL Server and SQL Server Analysis Services. Essentially, any version from 2005 on will provide that read-only data mart capability. But it's SQL Server 2008 R2 that provides the write-back capability from Excel so that you can actually go in, edit values, and publish them back from the subordinate level. Then, as far as the front end, the write-back capabilities are Excel 2010 only. So you can, again, consume data in Excel 2003, 2007, 2010, but you can only do that write-back capability and refreshing from Excel 2010.
Great. I think that's all the questions we have in the queue.